Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome back to today's Explainer, everyone. You know we love to take a really structured look at the day's most fascinating shifts. And our briefing for today, August 22nd, 2026, it's a completely incredible study in contrasts. We're going to take a journey today that starts all the way up at the macro level, right? We're talking billions of dollars moving through the cloud in the tech sector. But then we're going to bring it all the way down to the micro level, zooming in on a single, everyday apartment door. It's a look at the massive reach of modern technology, weighed right alongside the undeniable power of human connection.
So here is our roadmap for today's deep dive. First, the AI talent grab. Second, Robotaxis take Las Vegas. Third, one knock, two lives. And finally, we'll wrap things up with a look at the human element.
All right, Section 1, the AI talent grab. Licensing, not a buyout.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it perfectly captures our macro-level exploration. Big tech is aggressively, and I mean aggressively, changing its strategies to secure the infrastructure required to run artificial intelligence. And what's wild is that they're doing it without using the traditional business rulebook. We're looking at this brand new deal struck between tech giant Nvidia and an AI coding startup called Poolside. And instead of a traditional corporate buyout, there are three distinct pillars here. First, the licensing. Nvidia is securing a multi-billion-dollar non-exclusive licensing agreement to access Poolside's tech. Second, the investment. They are injecting fresh capital into the startup at a valuation sitting in the low tens of billions. And third, which honestly might be the most critical part, the talent. They're directly hiring the startup staff. So what we're seeing here is Nvidia securing the vital technology and the brilliant minds behind it, all without actually initiating a formal corporate acquisition of the company itself.
This right here brilliantly illustrates the strategic shift. Because think about it. In a traditional buyout, one company swallows another whole. And that can trigger massive regulatory complications, antitrust reviews, and just incredibly messy, drawn-out integration hurdles where two totally distinct corporate cultures are forced to clash. It's a headache. But by utilizing a licensing and investment deal instead, Nvidia gets exactly what it wants, the cutting-edge tech and the top-tier talent, while the startup, Poolside, actually remains independent and keeps operating on its own. It's basically a strategic bypass of all the usual red tape.
More than 100 Poolside engineers and employees received direct job offers from Nvidia as a direct result of this arrangement. It's not just about the software anymore, it's about the human capital required to build the future. This really hits the nail on the head regarding just how fiercely competitive the AI talent war has become. Companies aren't just buying technology. They're moving billions of dollars in these highly complex structural maneuvers literally just to get the right 100 minds working inside their walls.
Okay, moving on to Section 2, Robotaxis take Las Vegas. No steering wheel.
So we're transitioning now from the macro to the meso level. We're taking those abstract billions floating around in the cloud, and we're looking at what happens when that artificial intelligence literally hits the physical pavement of an American city. Regulators have essentially opened up the streets of Las Vegas to a massive, large-scale robot taxi rollout. We're talking about thousands of autonomous vehicles deployed across the city's grid. And the kicker here, the absolute craziest part, they're operating with absolutely zero safety drivers. No steering wheel monitoring, no human backup sitting in the front seat just in case, just you, the road, and an incredibly patient AI system navigating the neon strip and all that surrounding traffic. This stands right now as one of the largest single-city deployments of self-driving cars we have seen to date. We are way past talking about theory or small-scale proofs of concept. We are looking at immense, physical, commercial scale.
And let's just contextualize how incredibly fast this happened. I mean, just years ago, we were entirely confined to closed-track testing, right? Carefully keeping this tech away from public roads. Then, just months ago, really, we were looking at limited pilot programs, a few cars here and there, strictly geofenced and almost always with a human safety driver sitting there ready to grab the wheel. But jump to today, full commercial scale, thousands of cars, entirely driverless. This demonstrates a massive paradigm shift. It shows us that regulators are suddenly highly comfortable letting these driverless fleets scale fast, instead of strictly testing slow. The technology has matured to a point where the gates have simply been thrown open.
Let's slow things down a bit for Section 3. One knock, two lives. The feel-good close.
Now, I want to step away from massive capital and complex AI for a second and step inside an everyday apartment building. Think about your own neighborhood. Somewhere in the US, a woman kept hearing this persistent noise coming from the apartment directly upstairs. Now, instead of ignoring it or just getting annoyed and banging on the ceiling, she decided to walk upstairs and simply knock on the door to check on it.
And what she found was an 86-year-old neighbor living entirely alone with absolutely no family nearby. That one simple choice to just investigate a noise and knock on a piece of wood led to the discovery of a deeply isolated person right above her head. And what started as a quick wellness check ended up sparking an incredibly unexpected and profound human connection between the two of them.
The older woman actually refers to her downstairs neighbor now as the granddaughter she needed. I mean, wow. That one brief, simple check-in blossomed into a deep, ongoing, and completely life-changing friendship for both of these women. Out of all the complex algorithms in the world we've talked about today, it was human empathy that solved the problem of isolation for this 86-year-old woman. It's just a really beautiful reminder of the quiet, amazing things happening right next door to us every single day.
Section 4. The human element. A knock on a door.
When we step back and look at the whole structure of today's briefing, the contrast is really what makes it so fascinating. We started with companies casually moving tens of billions of dollars just to hire 100 engineers. We looked at thousands of driverless cars navigating massive cities all on their own. But this final story highlights a fundamental truth. Billions of dollars in AI infrastructure and the most advanced robotics in the entire world absolutely cannot replace the priceless, irreplaceable value of basic human connection. Which brings us to a final question to reflect on. What truly shapes your world more today? Is it a billion-dollar AI algorithm, or is it a simple knock on a neighbor's door? It's a pretty powerful thing to reflect on as we watch the world change so rapidly around us. Thank you so much for joining me to unpack these incredible stories today. If you enjoyed this structured breakdown, please be sure to return tomorrow for another explainer, where we'll take the world's most complex shifts and make them perfectly clear one slide at a time. Have a wonderful day, everyone.